Okay, so let's look at the pricing issues that we have. Fuel subsidy, like you said, is unfinished. What's the latest in that?
Well, with the way the oil market is going right now, with the positive outlook on the crude oil markets, which is looking, good, I'm not sure how long they'll be able to stretch this. So I think there are two scenarios. That either adjust the price, probably, by a few naira, or finally go with the petroleum, bill to deregulate the market. However, I feel between now and election period, I think there'll just be some quiet on that right now.
Absolutely.
Because we can't stretch for that long.
That's not a good factor.
There's a lot of fiscal implications because every month, that means the government, the federation account, gets lower, contributions because those amounts of money are spent on subsidies. So that's.
So what kind of sentiment does the fact that you have to transport this fuel by roads to, upland, as opposed to transporting this by pipelines, which is exposed to about 1,000, impacts, attacks, on annual basis. What kind of sentiment do we get from that?
It's a pretty sad situation, given that it's not like we don't have the infrastructure. I mean, the downstream sector has about 5,000 kilometers of pipelines that runs through the ports, even to the airports, to various depots spread across the country. We've had various initiatives, you've had the Navy come in, partner with NNPC, to take care of the pipelines to ensure that that is not, the breaks are reduced. However, I believe that it's time for private sector to be allowed to thrive in that segment. Right. Because due to that, I mean, you have more to lose. So with that, you're able to protect these assets better and you have less breaks. Because if we have those distribution infrastructure working, would have less of all these trucks, moving around into city. Although you'd have some of it because, I mean, it's not everything I would have to go through those pipelines. But you'd have less pressure on the roads, So it's just allowing private sector to thrive, especially in distribution infrastructure.
That helps us to save our road infrastructure better.
Exactly.
Now let's look at the side of your report that says that kerosene consumption now declines 27%. And then that means you've got more interest in the use of the cooking gas, technically the LPG now. Yeah. Compared to your previous report of 2016, I mean, help us to juxtapose the numbers.
Okay. Prior to now, we had about over 1 billion liters of kerosene imported annually. However, the high consumption was supported by subsidies. Right. Kerosene was also subsidized.
It was.
However, in the last few years, government went quiet on it and let it go. But we noticed that cooking gas distribution infrastructure is way better now. Right. It's more available at the filling stations and various distributors that are, strategically located. And there are more and more users of kerosene that are now more health conscious. There's more education in that line. Right. So people are more aware, okay, this is even a cheaper option and a cleaner way of me cooking. So that's better. And then there's more investment in the cooking gas segment. We have some downstream operators even investing in bottling plants, which was also an issue back in the day. There's gas, but there aren't bottling plants. There aren't any cylinders, rather. So now you have more of people, investing in that. So the market is opening, and people are realizing that, kerosene and the supply issues and all that, and then it's not even a clean option of cooking. Why don't I go with this line? So that's what we're looking at. And yes, we expect, the consumption of kerosene to dip further, maybe be about 500 million liters. As of last year, it was about 900. So for the next, 1-2 years, we see it go below like 500 million annually.
Petroleum products.
Yeah.
What's in there for us?
Well, the only positive that I look at is the steady demand. Okay. That's the only positive I look at.
How do we improve the production?
Production, let private sector thrive.
What do we have at the moment?
We have governments invested in the whole value chain. I mean, and then the issue with pricing and regulation, once that is a bit relaxed, I think there'll be more investment in it, and private sector will be able to thrive. There'll be better competition. You have more investment. I mean, there's even opportunity to, to position Nigeria as a hub. You have so many countries across, the West African borders that actually rely on us.
Which leads to arbitrage, as you said in the report. But as we coast home now, let's look at the regulation side of things now. Okay. PIJB issues here at the National Assembly, at the executive side of things. What do we need to get done immediately?
Yeah, Like I said earlier, I think everyone would be erring on the side of caution, especially the executive arm of government. So I feel, more or less, I'm not saying that there wouldn't be any push to approve or reject or anything, but I think a final say will be after elections. So recently, you know, it was harmonized by the National Assembly and the House of Rep and sent to the president for approvals. But however, the president has noticed, you know, the presidency has noticed, you know, one or two things that, you know, goes against the, you know, the administrative power of the presidency. You know, for instance,
so there's no input of the presidency at all.
Exactly, and then there's even a part of the bill that says that, you know, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources would no longer be able to revoke or amend licenses and leases to oil and gas to upstream, you know, operators. So there still needs to be some adjustments within it, you know, as well as even some complaints from some downstream operators that say, you know, we don't think we should have just one regulatory body. So there still needs to be some discussions around it and have one clean version, and then that's approved. However, I don't see that happening in the next couple of months. You know.
So the first principle of economics, there needs to be a trade-off. That's
Definitely.
what they probably have to have. So on looking at what your recommendations are, because your report is titled "The Dire Need for a Rebirth of the Oil and Gas Downstream Industry." Holistically, what would you want the public, the presidency to do?
I want them to, first of all, clear the outstanding claims. I mean, the industry needs to be bankable. They need to be able to access funding. It's very important. Yeah, it needs to be verified, cleared, and settled. I think that's very important. And then the issues around the assets, pipelines, refineries, storage depots, they are largely underutilized.
All right, Miriam Dabiri, oil and gas downstream analyst at Agusto and Company. Thank you so much. We appreciate your thoughts here. We look forward to more reports from your company.
Thank you.
After the break, we'll be back to Bosun with some analysis on the global markets and its implications for the Nigerian economy.